This was recorded on December 15th, 2023, but I don't know when I'll have the courage to share this. December 15th, 2019 is the day Sidi, Allah Yarhamah, has passed away. Today, I wanted to honor him and Teta by telling their story. My family was living in Kareem, Palestine. It wasn't long until the IDF soldiers started to attack their city in 1967. They have been bombing the city for 2 days straight, so my grandfather, being in a situation where he has a pregnant wife and kids who were the ages 7, 6, and 4, really had no other choice but to flee along with the rest of my family living around them. My family fled to a village called Arnapta. Not long after that, the IDF found its way into Arnapta and broke into the mosques. Using the speakers of the mosques, they ordered everyone in that village to line up in the main street highway of that village. They only had 1 hour to do so or they would kill you. Again, being in a situation where you have a pregnant wife and kids, they had no other choice but to act accordingly. The IDF soldiers came to the highway with their vehicles, and each took a group, one going north, the other going south, and the other going east, completely dividing the people of that village. The vehicle my family was put in was an army truck. It held around 35 people. 15 of them were kids under the age of 7, my uncle being the oldest one out of his cousins at that time, and 3 elderly people, one of them being my great-grandmother, would have been 113 years old if she was still alive today, and the rest were my teta's family. The IDF drove them to the Jordanian border, the whole time pointing their guns at them, and dropped them off where they were required to walk in the desert heat with no food or water. They walked to the Jordanian River where they had to swim across a 24-kilometer wide river. That's 15 miles. Mind you, they were living in Kareem where there is no beaches to learn how to swim. Thankfully, some of Teta's brothers knew how to swim. They carried the children across first, then the elderly through the river. Through this process, they have lost 2 lives. I don't know who these men are, but may Allah grant them Jannah and bring ease to their souls. After crossing the Jordanian River comes rock mountains as big as 4-story buildings, almost impossible to climb without rocks crumbling within every breath you take. They used ropes of cloth and everything they could find to go past without falling, not to mention the countless things they had to keep a hold of, like food and water and whatever else they could manage to bring with them in that 1-hour time period before being taken away. After going through the mountains and hills, they arrived to just dry flat land. You would think that now it's a lot easier, but you would be wrong. The family agreed to walk into 3 groups, men in the front and back, keeping the women, children, and elderly in between protected. Teta, Allah Yarhamha, did not agree to this and insisted on walking in the back behind everyone with her sister. Eventually, her kids came to her and said, "Ya mama, nahnu atshanin." She told them to go to their father and tell him that they are thirsty, and to come back and tell her what he has said to them. Sito was at the front with the men. They had to walk all the way up to tell their dad. Sito would respond with, "I can't help you, I don't have water." Then they walk back and tell Teta what he told them. Then Teta, Allah Yarhamha, told them, "Open your mouth," and gave them water through her mouth. But where did she get this water from? No one knew this except her sister, but she took a kettle with her, and as they crossed the Jordanian River, she filled this kettle with water and carried it on her head and covered the kettle with her veil. No one knew she was carrying water in that kettle. She told them it had cloth inside it. She did this so she could save the water for the young ones. She didn't tell anyone but her sister about it, as she knew that the water wouldn't have lasted long if all 33 of the family members knew she had water. She hasn't even drank a sip from this water and solely left it for the young ones to drink. That's the level of care and love she had for them. If she hadn't done this, I wouldn't be alive today. Hours later, Alhamdulillah, the JAF spotted them. They were driving past and took them to one of my grandfather's brothers, who has already been living in Jordan. The family went their own way from there. The journey took around 48 hours. If it wasn't for my family's determination to keep moving forward, even after they have lost everything, me and my relatives wouldn't be alive today. This is the story of just one misplaced Palestinian. My grandfather spent his last days writing books, over 200 books, mainly about English studies for his students. He was a college professor teaching the English language. His cause of death was sickness, but if he were to still be alive today, the news of what's happening in Gaza would have killed him before any disease could. It is important to know that I'm not telling you this story for you to feel pity for me and my family. I'm telling you this story for you to understand the harsh reality of it all. It's not as simple as Israel bombed their house and they had to find someplace else to live. It is the years of struggle and grief afterwards, being separated from your family within just a few days, never to be able to see them again. It's the fact that they have been left with nothing and had to build their life from scratch again. It's not just a house being destroyed. It's so much more. It's generational memories being left behind. This is the story of just one misplaced Palestinian family. Now imagine 750,000 in 1 year on its own. Now imagine all the ones who have been misplaced the years after 1948. The numbers are uncountable. Palestinians aren't numbers. They are so much more. Each and every dead and alive Palestinian has a story behind them. What's going on in Gaza is nothing to be silent about. These are humans, not numbers.